Notorious Hans Niemann is playing against Alireza Firouzja, two young talents of the game. This is title Tuesday, June 24th, and Niemann starts with e4, c5 for Firouzja, and this is Sicilian defense. Knight f3, d6, and bishop b5. Check, knight d7, bishop goes back to a4, knight develops to f6, castle for Niemann, a6, and now the threat is b5 and c4 to win the bishop, so therefore c4 taking control of the square on d5, e6 to develop the bishop on e7. Niemann plays knight c3, all developing logical moves, b6 to develop the light square bishop on b7 for Firouzja, e5 immediately striking in the center for Niemann. E takes e5 and knight takes e5, and now the knight on e5 is untouchable because the knight on d7 is pinned. Bishop d6, now the knight on e5 is actually under attack, and Niemann plays the move d4. That's actually a mistake. After c takes d4, it turns out he cannot take the pawn back with the queen. If queen takes d4, then he loses after bishop takes e5. And you would think, okay, but queen takes e5 and the knight is still pinned and cannot take the queen. But there is a move b5. And after that, the bishop is blocked, and next move, black either takes the queen or take the bishop. And therefore, Niemann couldn't take the pawn on d4 and played knight f3. e5. Firouzja is going on attack in the middle of the board. Bishop g5, pinning the knight on f6 and creating some counter chances. Castle for Firouzja, and a knight jumps to a nice square on d5 for Niemann, putting more pressure on the pinned knight on f6. h6, attacking the bishop, bishop goes back to h4, and knight c5. Looks like a good move, computer doesn't like it. Bishop takes f6, and now black's position is totally dismantled around the king. But white doesn't have many pieces to attack the king, so computer still likes black. Bishop goes to c2, what a nice diagonal for the bishop, but here Firouzja has nice tactics and uses it with the move d3. And after bishop takes d3, he plays e4, and we have a fork, and he wins a piece. Niemann prefers to give up the knight and keep the bishop, which is a good decision. He plays bishop c2, gives up the knight on f3, and after queen takes f3, it turns out that despite the fact that Niemann is without a full piece, without a full bishop, his position is not worse, because too many threats. One threat is the pawn on f6 is under attack, and if the knight takes the pawn on f6, with the next move queen would take the rook on a8. So Firouzja defends the pawn with the move king g7, and computer engine hates it. After king g7, white plays rook d1, and now the rook is entering the attack, and now white's position is very, very dangerous. Rook e8, just a waste of time, putting the rook on an open e-file, but there is nothing to do there. White plays knight e3. Knight f4 was winning immediately, but knight e3 is also a good move, and now it turns out that the rook on a8 is all of a sudden under attack. So rook a7 protecting the rook, and Niemann plays b4, attacking the knight on c5. And here Firouzja buckled under pressure. For whatever reason, he plays a very strange move, rook a8, and loses obviously on the spot. After b takes c5, b takes c5, and whether he saw it or not, but the queen takes the rook on a8. Looks like a big blunder by super grandmaster Firouzja. Queen c7, queen f3, bishop takes h2 check, king h1, bishop f4, knight f5 check, move 27 of the game, Firouzja resigns. And Hans Niemann, for the first time in his life, as he admitted during the live stream, achieved 3300 rating on chess.com. Congratulations to him, and thank you for watching this video. Like and subscribe, leave a comment if you think Hans Niemann would become a world champion or not. And again, thank you for watching.